think we're live.
We are live. Hello, everybody. This is Suzanne DeWitt Hall and Declan DeWitt Hall from the Where True Love Is movement. We haven't gone live in a while.
We haven't. It's been a couple of months.
To come talk to you. All our hair is longer. We both need a cut.
Need haircuts big time.
Even Philip.
Even Philip. And as you can see, Philip and Rubble Pimple are here. They're probably jumping in and out of the picture that's what happens when you go live. Tonight we're here to talk to you about Suzanne's new book, which she's been working on for a very, very long time. Can you share a little bit about the book, love?
Yes, it's called Reaching for Hope, and the subtitle is Strategies and Support for the Partners of Transgender People. And we launched this week.
We did. It launched earlier than we thought, so it came out on Monday. Had some pre-sales. We've got some wine.
We've got my favorite cheap wine. We're going to uncork it to celebrate here with you, which we don't usually do. Mr. Phillip is right in my way.
Yeah, he wants to help you uncork the wine.
Yeah, so this was your idea to have a glass of wine and ask me some questions about the book.
We've been getting some questions in from some transgender support pages and on our page and other social media platforms. So I thought it'd be better if we just brought it right to you and had you answer it on Where True Love Is, where all of our Where True Love family is. And as you know, some of you, when you publish a book, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of research, many years, editing, writing that goes into it. And we always celebrate when Beloved comes out with a book. This is her eighth one, eighth devotional meditation type book.
Yeah.
She has a novel coming out next year and 3 children's books and some other things. So we just thought we'd celebrate with you. So I would like to propose a toast. If you
have a glass of orange juice or water or coffee or wine
or whiskey.
Or just an empty pretend glass.
You can live through this. So I would like to toast this book and the healing that may occur from it. May it be so.
Amen to that. Thank you. And cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to all of you all.
That's not bad.
Well, you have a much more discerning palate than I do.
I do.
But back to the book. So, do you want me to talk
ask
about
questions,
it a
or
little bit?
you want to give a little bit of information
Sure.
about what it's about?
So, the book again is Strategies and Support for the Partners of Transgender People. And as you, my love, have explored your gender identity, and I began to participate in some support groups and things like that that's okay, partners and family members of trans people, I started seeing a lot of the same questions and concerns coming up over and over again. And we're pretty blessed that our communication is super open, and we're able to talk a lot of things through. And I think some people don't have quite that same level of ability and openness. There's more. They have it a little harder than we do, unfortunately. So as we talked about a lot of issues, I started making notes in my typical style and tried to kind of think things through. And as I saw these common issues come up, I captured those and with the hope of really trying to help relationships where one person is trans and the other person is perhaps surprised, never knew, never saw it coming, and is struggling to figure out how to handle it. So, yeah, so that's why I wrote it.
Being a member of the transgender community, I have my finger on the pulse, and I see that there's a lot of pain out there. And one of the things that I see happening is some issues with relationships. I am blessed with ours, but you have to start conversations. That's where it has to start. And that's the one thing that I think this book is going to do, is it's going to be a springboard to conversations. So, shall I start
on to the questions, please?
All right. So we've got a few questions here that have come in, and one of them was, why did you write a book for the partners of transgender folks?
Yeah, well, it seemed as if there's, thankfully, a lot of information. Ooh, sorry. Dogs decided to tussle right against the camera stand, and I did at that time. So there was it seemed as if there's quite a bit of support for trans people now, increasing levels, which is wonderful and vastly needed. And it seemed like I was hearing partners feeling like there isn't anything out there for them, and they're not really sure how to proceed, and that there's a lot of confusion and a lot of challenges. So it just seemed like there's a big pocket of pain there, and in order to also help transgender people having a resource for the partners and the spouses is going to ultimately help them as well.
I think so.
So that's why I decided to pull this book together.
So someone asked, how long did it take to write?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I don't know. Often with my books, I start making notes and compiling thoughts for quite a long time before it turns into a book. This came together pretty quickly, probably in about 6 months when I started working on it intensively. But it's been several years in the making.
Yeah, I would say
you know, we've been working with the transgender community for some time, and so seeing their pain and seeing some of those challenges have been in play for quite a while, and then you entering into that more actively yourself kind of put it in high gear.
Yeah. All right, we have another question. Said, what topics are covered in your book?
Let's see. So let me tell you the general categories. There's sort of sections. I tend to structure things in sections that are sort of content or topic related. So one is starting points, things like transitioning as a team, that you should believe them, dealing with deception, because a lot of the partners of trans people feel like they've been deceived if they haven't realized. Some people in a partnership know that their beloved has a transgender identity, and some don't. It comes as a shock. Taking care of yourself, things like that. Then there's a section called Your Emotions Are Valid, and goes through a number of emotions that the partners might feel, like feeling overwhelmed, scared, embarrassed, excluded, rejected. Things that your trans partner will experience, and talks about every situation being unique. There's not one trans experience. The fact that they're going to need to talk, the issue of dysphoria, their own feelings of guilt, expecting experimentation. There's a section on grief, grieving the losses. So sometimes people can feel as if their loved one has died, and it's important to recognize that your beloved is still there, the partner of a trans person, their beloved is still there. But there are a number of things that are lost, and that dealing with grief is important and useful for being able to move forward. Things like loss of a particular idea of family, loss of some communities in some cases. Sorry.
Pimple's
dogs have come in. You never lose your dog family. Loss of some roles and identity, loss of perceived stability. And then there's a section called on going public, which deals with like various issues of when you're going to be coming out to people. Tangible helpfulness about building support circles, developing plans, managing shifts in sexual interactions, creating rites of passage, things like that. And then there's some stuff in the back. There's some appendices about finding a counselor, resources for further study and support, and a ritual of mourning, which, because grief is so important, and when we stuff our emotions, when we stuff things we're sorrowing about, they tend to come sneaking out in our lives in other ways, and ways that tend to be destructive. So I wrote this sort of a rite of mourning that's not based in faith or any faith tradition, but does honor the fact that some things are lost, and kind of creates a formal way to say goodbye to some things, so that there's room to say hello to some new things.
Well, I like what you did with the back, with indexing.
Oh yeah, there's also an index in the back, which I haven't done in my previous books, but in this case, it feels a little bit more like a reference where you might want to refer back to some topics, and so it's a fairly comprehensive index, so you can look issues up if you're needing assistance in any particular topic.
All right, are you ready for another one?
I am.
Can it help parents or friends of transgender teens or children?
So someone asked that online. Yes, it can. So while there are a number of topics in here that are specific to couples, for example, dealing with the challenges of sexual interactions and sexual intimacy and how that shifts, the majority of the content is about transgender experience and transgender issues more generally. So it is. I saw this sort of breadth of pain specifically in this body of partners, and wanted to provide a tool for them. But it definitely has a lot of content that is also applicable for family members. It's just there's also bonus content specifically for partners.
Good. Now here's an interesting one. Is your relationship with your trans spouse in this book?
Good question. That's a good question. Both yes and no. I think I reference situations we've faced a few times. It's mostly not, but our relationship is sort of the undergirding that has been part of all of my books, I think. I want what we have and our ability to negotiate situations. So that is also sort of portrayed. Some of the strategies we use are definitely offered as potential methods for reducing problems. So yes and no.
Well, we do talk about my transitioning all the time. It's like you said in the dedication for me to dance now, because I've just recently came out as a transgender man, and you've been very supportive. But in the last few months, we really talk about it a lot, because I feel like transgender people need to talk. They have to have somebody to talk to, and if it's your spouse, that makes it really good and really special. I mean, we've been able to just sit down and I'll say, I feel this today. I feel this. I'm thinking about this. I want to do this, or I want to do that. And you just enter right into those conversations.
Well, it's a lot easier for me because I have been educated about transgender issues for a long time, and many partners have not. So that gives me and us a leg up. And that's the goal, in part, for this book, is that it offers kind of a speed, what do they call that? Like a fast course. What do they call that? When you take a course and you have to get a bunch of information quickly. There's a phrase for it, but I don't remember what it is. But so this book can kind of can give a basic grounding, given that most people, well, I shouldn't say most, a lot of people have an increasing understanding of what being trans means, but a lot of people don't.
As a transgender person, when Beloved started writing this book, I was kind of hesitant to read it. One of the things that bothers me and affects me a lot is if I hurt somebody else by me being me. And you just got to be you. And so I was kind of hesitant to read it. Of course, I was like, okay, I'm going to support it. She wrote it. Her heart's in it. But I was a little hesitant, and I opened it up, and I was like, wow. If everyone could have these discussions that are in this book, it would lead to so much healing and understanding. I think people should read it before they start to date each other. I think they should read it together if they're dating before they marry. They should read it if they're just thinking about transitioning. It just opens up so many avenues for discussion that it just blessed me. I thought it was going to hurt me, and it really blessed me to see that there was something out there. And there is nothing like this book. Sorry. They're applauding. Watchdogs. So there's nothing like that that's out there. So I was really happy to see it.
It's interesting that at first you were hoping that I was writing something that was for the couple, and I said I wasn't. I really wanted to write a book to support the partners, but I think ultimately what you're saying is that it is sort of it can be used by couples.
Right, it can.
Yeah.
It really can.
Even though that wasn't my intent.
Okay, we better wrap up because they're getting loud. So we have 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
I think you've answered who is it for.
Yep.
And someone just wanted to know if you like to write.
I don't just like to. I love to write. I hate to write. I have to write.
It's like breathing.
I get some sort of a spiritual, emotional constipation if I don't write, and I start getting grumpy. So it's a weird thing being a writer, but I do love writing. I like playing with words and writing helps me think things through. I do a lot of my best processing when I'm actually, taking this mix of thoughts and then channeling it into some kind of a structured thing of paragraphs. It helps me think, helps me get clarity. So
yeah.
I do like
You kind of have to do it.
I like to write. I do have to. You know it. You'll
I know it. I'm like, get up there and write.
If I haven't for a while, you're like, get up there. You got to get some ready.
Well, I think I would like to wrap this up with kind of a toast to you.
Thank you, and to you, my love.
And to all of the transgender people that we have following our page and that are out there, and the spouses, the partners, the friends, the family, we see you.
Yeah,
we know that this is something that you're working through. Mm-hmm. We have lots of resources on wheretrueloveis.com and in the back of this book. Oops. We pray that you reach for those resources, because being transgender is just like everything else. It's nothing to fear. It's just who people are. And if you have questions, it's good. Ask the questions. Talk to your transgender friends and your spouse, your family. That's the only way we're going to get people to understand us, is for us to get out there and talk. And I just want to applaud you and bridging the subject and bringing it into the world. It needs books like this. It needs more discussions. We're just people. We just want to be loved and accepted, right?
Special people, absolutely. And I forgot to say that this book does not assume that every couple is going to survive the process of transitioning. It doesn't try to sugarcoat. It tries to deal with issues frankly and in a supportive way to the trans person, and in a very honoring way, I think, and respectful. But it's not, if you are a person who is struggling and feels like there's lots of resources for your trans partner and nothing there for you that understands your pain, my goal was to recognize your pain and to meet you there and talk you through it. So yeah, I forgot to say that part.
Be well.
On to the toast.
On to the toast.
Cheers to you all.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
See you next time.
Oh, we better drink first though.
Yeah.
Take care.